What?
From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 9 o'clock news.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Russ Riesinger. As the U.S. Postal Service becomes a political football in the current election, both as an issue and an instrument of voting, what's really happening on the ground in Montana when it comes to mail delivery? MTN's Mike Dennison spoke to postal workers and officials and files this report.
There's no shortage of political rhetoric when it comes to what's happening at the Postal Service under President Trump's new Postmaster General, Louis DeJoy. Here's Democratic gubernatorial candidate Mike Cooney talking about it just this week.
The Postal Service is under attack. In just the last couple weeks, we've learned that mail collection boxes have been removed and sorting machines have been dismantled in towns all across Montana.
But what's actually occurred in Montana? Postal Service officials refuse to provide us with any specifics on removal of sorting equipment or drop boxes in Montana this summer. Postal workers, however, told me at least 2 large sorting machines that can process up to 30,000 letters an hour had been removed from facilities in Billings and Great Falls. And at least 3 other smaller mail sorters were taken out this summer in Billings, Great Falls, and Missoula. Still, these same workers said they don't believe these equipment removals have had much impact on delivery times within Montana yet. They said things could change in times of high mail volume, like Christmas or the upcoming election, when many more Montanans will likely be voting by mail. U.S. Senator John Tester, the most vocal critic in Montana's congressional delegation of the new postmaster, says he believes the equipment loss is taking its toll.
I've heard from folks both inside and outside the post office that things are slowed down, and it's a big concern. The 21st century, Mike, you know this, people expect things to happen pretty fast.
As for the drop boxes, it's unclear how many were taken out statewide. Although Tester's office says at least 15 of those removed were brought back, including this one near downtown Helena, and ones in Bozeman, Shelby, Lewistown, Glendive, and elsewhere. Finally, what about the election and ballot delivery? Postal Service officials say even if everyone in the country votes by mail in the coming weeks, that's still just a fraction of the mail volume the PO handles in a single day. Helena Postal Clerk Dee Dee Rhodes says she's confident the service will handle mail ballots promptly in Montana.
I can tell you the post office will definitely be diligent in making sure that they are served. We will get them to them. We will get them back to the collectors that need to count them.
Yet, as Senator Tester notes, mail voting is just one reason to ensure the Postal Service can continue to do its job.
It's very, very important to be able to vote by mail, but it's also important to get our prescription drugs, and it's also important to get our parts and our mail and our contacts from our relatives and all that kind of stuff that the Postal Service does.
Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
Well, Congress still has yet to act on a proposed $25 billion bailout for the beleaguered Postal Service during the COVID-19 pandemic. It was another rough on the COVID-19 front as Montana topped 100 deaths after 6 additional patients died today. 4 of those deaths are tied to a recent outbreak at a long-term care facility in Flathead County. The other 2 deaths were reported in Yellowstone and Beaverhead counties. Montana's death toll when it comes to the virus now stands at 104. Governor Bullock calling the number a somber statistic. The state has now seen more than 7,000 total cases after a jump of another 134 today. Active COVID cases are now more than 1,800. U.S. Senator Steve Daines is asking the state of Montana to provide more information about COVID-19 cases and deaths in senior care facilities. MTN's Jonathan Ambarian reports on how Governor Steve Bullock's office responded.
On Friday, Senator Steve Daines sent a letter to Governor Steve Bullock, saying the state's data on COVID-19 cases and deaths gave an incomplete picture of the impact on facilities that serve Montana seniors. Daines called on Bullock to release the number of cases and deaths reported at nursing homes and assisted living facilities. A report from the Kaiser Family Foundation, a national nonprofit, identified Montana as one of 4 states not reporting COVID data from those facilities. In his letter, Daines said, quote, "This lack of reporting causes an information gap and hinders the ability for policymakers to produce comprehensive, effective solutions that will help combat the spread of this virus and prevent future deaths." Transparency around COVID-19 data in nursing homes and other long-term care facilities is critical to inform policy solutions that will help slow the spread, improve senior care, and save lives. Bullock responded to Daines with his own letter, saying, quote, "The Department of Health and Human Services has been compiling the data you referred to long before your letter. They have been working diligently to collect and verify the data you ask for and more, to ensure we continue providing the information needed to respond to this virus and uphold our commitment to transparency." The Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services reported Friday that they had identified 311 COVID-19 cases and 33 COVID-related deaths in nursing homes and assisted living facilities. 41 of the state's 291 facilities had a positive case. Several of these facilities have reported multiple deaths from COVID-19, including ones in Billings, Shelby, and Whitefish. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
DPHHS published the requested information online around 5 o'clock this evening. Governor Bullock sent a letter to Senator Daines saying, in part, the Department of Health and Human Services has been compiling the data you referred to long before your letter. They have been working diligently to collect and verify the data you asked for and more to ensure we continue providing the information needed to respond to this virus and uphold our commitment to transparency. Daines and Bullock are, of course, competing against each other this year in Montana's U.S. Senate race. After more than 10,000 surgeries and 34 years of service to the Billings community, a legendary Billings Clinic heart doctor is turning in his scrubs for retirement. But as he goes, he'll leave behind a legacy of change in both technology and knowledge. MTN's Andrea Lutz talked with Dr. Scott Milliken about a career spent holding hearts in his hands.
God bless. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
If it's true what they say, a heart is made to be broken.
If you Google the heart, it's Googled more than any other organ.
Then Scott Milliken was made to fix them.
Well over 10,000. But I knew there was something great here. I knew there was something special.
He's spent 34 years working for Billings Clinic.
We packed the family up. We came to Billings, joined Billings Clinic, and got to work.
Working to build a rewarding career on the shoulders of some of the best heart doctors Billings has ever seen.
Today for me is the day I left the arena, and I'm going to head up into the bleachers. And so I had a great day with my incredible crew that helps with every operation, our heart team that we do. Then the most important job after actually operating on the patient is to go give the family the good news. So I was with my clinical coordinator, and we were going to talk to the family, and I walked around the hall, and there was a lot of people clapping their hands for me, and that's when I lost it.
During his career, he watched as Billings Clinic evolved from a practice to a massive hospital, saw technology advance to make cardiac surgery more safe and efficient, and helped develop a specialized heart team. But it's his patients and their stories that will leave the biggest impact.
A few months ago, a fellow came up to me and he said, are you Dr. Milliken? I said, yes, I am. And he said, I want to thank you. You operated on my dad back in 1986. And I said, thank you very much. Thanks for saying something. And as he walked away, he said, oh, by the way, he's still doing great. And I said, how old's your dad? And he said, he's 95.
And as he leaves the OR, he'll surely take heart in knowing Billings is his greatest career highlight.
As I look around, I'm so proud of what we've become. When you look back on 34 years of practice, you get some perspective. And if you have perspective, it allows you to see trajectory. And I think Billings Clinic is on a great path.
In Billings, Andrea Lutz, MTN News.
And of course, like with all retirement stories, Andrea asked Dr. Milliken what his plans are, and he says he's going to rest, spend time with his family, raise his kids, but he also says there will be a 2.0 that will involve service to others. Well, Billings leader is making a big push to get support from residents ahead of the upcoming public safety mill levy.
We will never be able to afford to have an officer on every corner, nor would we want one. And you have to be as interested in your own safety and your neighbor's safety as we are.
Billings City Administrator Chris Kukalski, along with Police Chief Rich St. John and Fire Chief Bill Rash, held 2 educational sessions this week to talk about the importance of that levy and what it would cost homeowners. The city's police and fire departments still rely on a 2004 levy that raises $8.2 million a year. Now, the city wants to repeal that fixed amount levy and replace it with one that collects 60 mils worth of property taxes. That would be an extra cost of around $57 a year on a home worth $212,000. The next public safety mill levy presentation will be next Wednesday night at 6:30 in Pioneer Park. Financial broker Gary Buchanan chaired the committee that helped get the 2004 levy passed along with the late George Solover. Billings has certainly grown considerably since then, though.
Well, it has grown, and what also has grown is some inflation. So the original levy was capped by state law at about $8.2 million. If you just look at inflation for the last 16 years, that's only worth about $6 million now. And we need more than ever, especially businesses, to fund our law enforcement and fire department.
Ultimately, the decision is up to voters. Ballots for that levy were sent out in the mail today. Well, since April, 42,000 jobs have been added back to the state, and as it stands right now, Montana has 18,000 fewer jobs than before the pandemic started. MTN's John Riley has more on where Montanans are finding work.
Montana recently reported the state's unemployment rate has dropped to 6.4%, which is 3.8% lower than the national average, but still nearly double where the state was before the pandemic. The Montana Department of Labor and Industry says most people who have been unemployed were able to find work back with their original employer.
Most people are going back to the job that they had before, so they were, displaced from their employer and now they're returning back to the same job. But there is still a lot of people who are finding new jobs as well.
Wagner says jobs have been coming back a lot faster than many economists expected. While the tourism, leisure, and hospitality industries have been some of the hardest hit since the pandemic, they've also seen the largest job growth since April. Wagner says this is mainly due to the sheer number of jobs lost at the beginning of the pandemic. But unlike other recessions, those jobs didn't permanently go away. As businesses are able to reopen, jobs have been coming back.
The leisure and hospitality industry, they lost 32,000 jobs, which is huge, right? But they've already gained back 21,000 of those jobs.
Wagner says another reason Montana's economy has been doing better is due to consumer confidence in the state. The state's lower COVID cases than the nation and shorter shutdown help more people feel comfortable shopping in their community. Reporting in Helena, John Riley, MTN News.
Well, the state has seen a rise in the number of unemployment insurance claims in the past couple of weeks. However, the Montana Department of Commerce knows that many of those new claims have come from out of state, and they believe that those could possibly be fraudulent. Still to come on tonight's MTN 9 o'clock news, Operation Supply 2020. We're going to take you to a campaign drive aimed at helping students as they get back in the swing of things at school. First, Bob McGuire's in next with your full 7-day forecast. We'll be right back.